Ever get that, like, creepy feeling when you hear about a crime?
Mm.
Especially in a place, that's supposed to be safe. Makes you think, well, if it can happen there,
Yeah,
it could happen anywhere, right?
it really shakes you up. Makes you wonder, how safe are any of us, really?
Right. And that's exactly what we're looking at today. It's a wave of robberies in Hyderabad, in India. And it's hit some really well-off neighborhoods.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
And we're not talking about, like, someone swiping a phone here. This is serious stuff.
Sounds like it.
We're talking Jubilee Hills, Filmnagar, Banjara Hills, places known for, luxury.
Yeah.
Big houses.
The kind of places you'd think would be pretty secure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you got to wonder, is this just a random thing? Or is something bigger going on? Something everyone in Hyderabad should be worried about?
Well, the targets and the way they did it, it does make you think.
Right. Like, take this one case. DK Aruna, she's a big politician, vice president of the BJP. Someone breaks into her house while her daughter's home alone. Thankfully, she wasn't hurt. But can you imagine how scary that would be?
Oh, absolutely. It makes you think, even if you've got all the security, alarms and stuff.
Yeah, it shows you're never really totally safe. And then there's this other case. Mohammed Mujahid Kamal, he's an NRI, lives in this fancy area, Diamond Hills Colony in Filmnagar. This wasn't some smash and grab, this was planned out. They got away with a ton of stuff. 34 tolas of gold, 4.5 lakh in cash, even 550 Canadian dollars.
That's a lot. Seems like they knew what they were doing.
Right, like they knew exactly what they were after. So at first, you might think, okay, they're going after the rich folks. But then you get this other case, software engineer, P. Raghavendra. He was attacked, robbed, just riding his motorbike home. Nothing to do with those big houses or anything.
That's different. That's scary. Makes it seem like anyone could be a target.
Exactly. Throws a wrench in the whole theory, right? So if it's not just about being rich, is there something about these areas that makes them vulnerable? And what are the police doing about all this?
Well, they are doing something, and what they found is kind of interesting, actually. Makes you wonder.
Let's hear it then. What have they found? Is it just a case of, bad luck? Or is there something more to this crime wave? So what are the police doing about this? Seems like they've got a real challenge on their hands.
Yeah, for sure. And, they've noticed something interesting. A lot of these slum areas that are right next to the fancy neighborhoods, they don't have a lot of CCTV cameras.
So basically, the criminals are using those areas to, like, disappear.
Yeah.
Because no one's watching. That's pretty smart and kind of scary.
It is. It shows you how, they're adapting, using technology or the lack of it to their advantage. But it still doesn't answer the whole question, right? Are they just taking advantage of these gaps in security? Or is there something else going on?
Yeah, that's the big question. Is it like desperation? People are poor. They see all this wealth.
Could be. But then some of these robberies seem really well planned, like that one with Mr. Kamal. That wasn't just some random thing.
Right, like they knew what they were doing and what they were after. So maybe it's a bit of both. Desperation, but also some, organized crime.
Could be. It's hard to say for sure. But the police are definitely taking it seriously. They're doing more patrols at night, random checks, that kind of thing. And they're trying to get more CCTV cameras installed in those areas where there aren't any.
So it's like they're trying to make it harder to get away with. More risk, more chance of getting caught. But I don't know, does that really solve the problem? Like, in the long term, it feels like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's not really getting to the root of things. And plus, having more police around all the time, it can create other problems.
Exactly. Like, if they're just focusing on those core areas, it feels unfair. Like they're being targeted just because they live there.
Right. And it can make people feel less safe, not more, like they're being watched all the time.
So where do we go from here? I mean, if this is happening in those, like, wealthy areas, it makes you wonder about the rest of the city. What about businesses, tourism? What does this all mean for them?
Well, I think it's definitely shaken people up, made them realize that, even if you're in a gated community, it's not a guarantee of safety. And for businesses, it's got to be a concern, too. How do they protect themselves? How do they make sure their employees are safe?
It's a tough question, and I don't think there's an easy answer. But I think the big takeaway here is we need to think differently about security. It's not just about walls and cameras anymore. It's about something bigger.
Exactly. And that's what we need to figure out. How do we create a city that's safe for everyone, not just the people who can afford to live behind walls?
It's almost like those gated communities, the fancy tech. It gives you a false sense of security.
Yeah.
Like, we think we're safe behind those walls, But these robberies show it's not that simple anymore.
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call, right?
And it's not just Hyderabad. We're seeing this kind of thing in cities all over the world.
Yeah.
As they grow, you get more wealth, but also more inequality. And crime, it kind of changes with that.
It's not just the petty stuff anymore. It feels more organized, more, I don't know, professional almost.
Right. It's not just about opportunity anymore, like an open window or something. They're targeting specific people, specific things. Which brings us back to the big question, right? What does this tell us about how crime's changing? Especially in a place like Hyderabad that's growing so fast.
It feels like we need to think differently about how we stay safe. Like, what's the point of all those cameras, all those guards, if they can't stop this?
Yeah. It's not just about reacting anymore. More police, more tech, that might help a little, but it doesn't get to the root of the problem.
So what does get to the root of the problem? I mean, how do we even start to address this? It feels kind of overwhelming. Well, you got to think about it like, a garden. If you just keep pulling out the weeds, they'll keep growing back. You got to change the soil, the conditions to stop them from growing in the first place.
So what's the soil in this situation? What are those conditions we need to change?
We need to look at the social and economic stuff, the inequality, give people opportunities, education, jobs, make it so they don't feel like they got to resort to crime, and build stronger communities, where people look out for each other, feel connected.
So it's about bringing people together, not dividing them with walls and security checkpoints.
Exactly. It's about creating a city where everyone feels like they belong, like they have a stake in things. That's where real security comes from.
It's a powerful idea. But what can we do as individuals? I mean, it's easy to feel like this is all too big for me to change anything.
It's not about doing everything. It's about doing something. Start small. Get involved in your community. Join a neighborhood watch. Volunteer. Support organizations that are working on those social issues, those economic issues. Vote for people who want to make those changes.
This is about being aware, being engaged, not just relying on, the authorities to fix everything.
Exactly. We all have a role to play, and when we work together, we can make a difference, create a city that's safe, just, for everyone.
It's been really great talking to you. It's given me, and I hope our listeners, a lot to think about. So to everyone listening, stay safe out there, but also stay engaged, stay informed, and think about how you can be part of the solution.